Welcome, I'm Nick Wallace here from Belcourt Property in South Perth. I'm here today with industry legend John Garland. We're going to have a bit of a chat about some fantastic opportunities that John and I have coming up. I've had the privilege of working in collaboration with John over the last couple of years, and I've thoroughly enjoyed every moment about it, but at the moment we're just going to focus on some new opportunities we've got coming up. Obviously these types of buyers are quite unique. Could you give us a rundown about what, typically in your experience, what these types of buyers are looking for?
Well, in recent times we're finding that there's more of an overseas interest, interstate interest, or people that are in that high net worth scene in Western Australia who are just wanting to get to a situation of privacy, quality, and look for the certain features that dictate what our properties need to be given this treatment that we are enjoying giving to the properties we handle.
Fantastic. And those types of features, John, typically what are the features that these buyers are looking for?
Well, essentially they're looking for privacy, they're looking for uniqueness. One of the biggest features, of course, is water, but they want something that is different and can't be paralleled elsewhere.
Right, okay. By paralleled, what do you mean by that?
Well, they're one-off.
Yeah.
They're properties of which there is no other. So once they have these, they have it's just like a lady buying a dress. She doesn't want to be seen in the company of others that are wearing the same dress. With these properties, it's impossible to find a repeat because there is nothing like them.
All right, John, let's start with the jewel in the crown, Matria in Albany, Western Australia. What is it about Matria that makes it so special?
Well, where do we start? It's impossible to find a property like Matria in Albany, only half an hour out of the area of the amenities, which is right on the ocean, the Southern Ocean. When you wake up in the morning, you get out there and stand on the veranda and you're looking at whales with their calves that have been potentially even born in the bay. It's got a uniqueness that also says that there's a home that was built some years ago by Paul Terry that he spent 20 million just putting together the house itself. Now it's got the opportunity to have your own fishing on the property. You've got the run of 80 or 90 cattle you can have in the area of 200 and odd hectares that's part of the land side. But the prime real part of the asset is the uniqueness of an 8-bedroom home.
Yeah, it's 8 bedrooms, about 3,000 square metres of under the main roof, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the amazing part about it. But when we think about one of the features, you can push a button beside the master bedroom and the roof opens up to give you that night sky with all the things that the Southern Hemisphere can provide, which you can't see in many other places in the world.
Yeah, that's right. It's purely, it's quite stunning. To me, one of the also standout features of Matria is the piece of land and how it tilts from the ocean all the way back. So when you're standing at the end of the runway, you can see right the way down to the ocean's edge, which is just out of this world.
Yeah, it's views from every corner, isn't it? And on top of that, when you look to the south end of the property, you're looking at 6 k's of white beachfront sand, all adjoining obviously the backdrop of hills and in turn the ocean on one the other side.
That's right. And one of the other features that is fantastic is right out the front of the property there's the little rock peninsula. Stand out there during salmon season, literally cast your rod in and reel in a salmon. It's amazing to be able to do that.
Yeah, there's so many things, and then there's a couple of other assets, such as the fact that it's not only the main homestead, which is the top feature of the property, but there's that fisherman's cottage, and then there's another cottage on the airstrip.
That's right, the aviator's cottage on the airstrip is just equally as unique as the rest of the property. There's another one coming up that I consider to be very, very unique. It's just north of Perth, about an hour north of Perth in the area of Gingin, right along the Gingin Brook. Tell us a little bit more about that property.
Well, this is another unique property, just to show from one end of the state to the other that there is a feature in every individual property. On this one, it's an 1842 selection by William Locke Brockman. It's the first farm in Western Australia taken up north of Perth. 1829, of course, is when WA became a state, and this particular property has the only right, a Queen Victoria water grant, allowing the owner to draw from the Gingin Brook itself. And that Gingin brook is flowing at the rate of 7 million gallons of fresh water a day. And today it's still flowing at the same rate, and it tips out at Guildford into the ocean. But no one else is allowed to tap that source except this Queen Victoria water grant.
How unique, John, to be able to access that amount of water. Sort of leaves your opportunities endless in terms of pursuits. There's a bit of history though. You've sold this property over 4 or 5 times over the years. What is it about this property that's made it attractive for buyers?
Well, it's attractive to the point that, apart from being the first 10,000 acre grant for the Brockman family, it's adjacent to the town. And the property itself has got a home of a ageing nature. There are facilities there for stabling. It was once a stud of one of the best well-known horse studs in Western Australia, Perth Cup winners, and they were all bred on this property and sold in the yearling sales that happened. So it's had a varied involvement of ownership, but it's just that it is so unique, and particularly from a capital growth point of view, you cannot do better when you're seeing subdivision, and Gingin now is a quarter of an hour closer to Perth than it was because of the Tonkin Highway alone in the last 12 months.
Well, that's it. And the subdivision is almost up to the boundary of the property. The land surrounding has the zoning for the subdivision, so you never know what the future might hold. To me also, the fact that it's got a centre pivot running on the property just provides another opportunity for income, or to provide your own feed for your own animals.
Well, that's right. So it's diversified, but the size of it doesn't lend itself to any high income situation. You're not going to see people wanting to enjoy hard work. It's a luxury situation, and it's the sort of property that we're finding becomes that rural residence in the country for somebody who's living in the city, knowing they can get there under an hour.
There's a unique opportunity that we can't give you too many details about coming up in the Swan Valley, isn't there?
That's right. And this one has been under wraps. We're waiting to get final instructions on it. But in general terms, when you think of the Swan Valley that's under a half an hour from the city, and a property that has a kilometre of frontage to the reserve adjacent to the Swan River itself, and on that particular property you've got to be sure you've got some sort of rural opportunities these days. The City of Swan insists that any property is involved in a rural activity, and this has a very well-known stretch of table grapes which provide that asset. But the prime asset here is there's a 1,500 square metre residence which answers the best loved thoughts of any property, and that is the real feature of this particular home.
To me, the fact that with this house, when we've seen it, is the fact that you could fit it out to exact specifications. It doesn't have a stamp on it already, enables you to put your own personality into the home.
That's right. And 3 small cottages if you wanted for any staff or management accommodation at all. It's the greatest little property for horses, for cattle, just to complement the uniqueness of it being probably one of the best homes, certainly in the Swan Valley. And
it's probably only half an hour to the city, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
And about 5 minutes to the golf course.
What more could you want? Okay, while we're on that one, let's go back up the hill again. We've got a very unique opportunity coming up in the Chittering Valley, property called the Chittering Estate. Now, once again, John, you've had the privilege of selling this property a number of times over the years. One of the things I love about the Chittering Estate is the fact that it's on the Brockman River. So you've got this constant flow of water through winter. What else is special about the Chittering Estate?
Well, if there is a feature in itself, it's the vista. The Tourist Commission of WA have always used this property and the shot across the property to take in the image of Chittering. 2 independent homes, and there's the winery itself that previously has been a small restaurant, and it complemented a vineyard that is still on the property, together with a major quay dam, and in turn there are paddocks that provide the opportunity for small livestock activity and an orchard. So it's offering every conceivable thing as you can imagine that it would be. And you're looking at a property here that's in a price range that's certainly under the 5 million mark.
Right. Well, to me, you've got views, vista, grapes, wine grapes, that's right, isn't it?
That's right.
And a very nice modern home together with a manager's residence and the winery, and it's probably an hour from Perth.
Well, it's on the scenic Chittering Road section in central Chittering. So you've got Bullsbrook at one end and you've got Bindern at the other.
Fantastic. So let's go back down the valley again. Let's go through a little town, one of our first settled towns called Guildford. Right on the edge of Guildford, we've got an opportunity that we're just about to bring to market. And that one is Faery, is the name of the residence. It's at the end of Faery Court, right along the Swan River there. Give us a bit of information about that lovely opportunity.
Well, the home itself is a 1903 built classic. It's in turn heritage listed, so one has to be capable of understanding the restrictions that apply to the heritage scene. It's been used in the past as a B&B. It's certainly at the moment enjoying the feeling of Guildford, where we've got the antique scene to its absolute best value in Western Australia, and this is on the end of that run. The feature that you have is that from the homestead of its old but well maintained standard, you're looking into the top reaches of the Swan River, the part that adjoins the Guildford town site. So it's somewhere that you couldn't better from position, but there's lots of options you could use for it, especially if you've got something in that craft industry type feel. And there's 4,300 square metres of site. And the Dodds family, that's right, the Dodds family selected this back in 1832, I think it was.
And the fact that the current owner is a sculpturalist, and going to Faery at the moment is absolutely magic because he's got his sculpture work all around the property, and currently that's where he's operating part of his business from. It's absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, there is lots of scope for various things that could be done on that property, but it's a one-off.
Yeah. All right, John, was there any other property that we wanted to tell anyone about that I've forgotten?
Yes, let me see. There is one that we have.
It's that one you're collaborating with another gentleman.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. You did send me the photos of that one last night. I tell you what, if you are looking for the property that matches Home Beautiful, Vogue Living, this is it. Tell us a bit more about it.
Well, this is in 2J, and it's a property that, if you have any knowledge of the various types of homes that are built, then this one is given away by the fact of the colour blue. It's not unlike the colour you're wearing, Nick, today.
Yep.
And what I'm saying that people that understand properties will remember that this name is peculiar to the property. It was built specifically around this type of home. It's virtually new. It's got 6 bedrooms in it, and where it's sitting, it's as high as you can find to give you almost a 360-degree view from the home in all directions. Privacy is the keynote. It's far enough away from the town to give you something of a feel of rural identity, because 70 acres in terms of acreage, that's about 27 hectares, that relates to the size of the property. But this home has been used for some time for advertising purposes, for the best of quality in women's apparel and perfumes, because it's something that is unique to Western Australia. Very few. You'd only see this in Pepman Grove as far as the location is concerned. It is.
Luxury, privacy and space is what I saw when I saw that property. Just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, certainly something to be very proud of. And it's what we're calling as our trophy properties.
And lastly, there is a really, really special property. If you're into certified organic biodynamic, I think I've got it right, beef, there is a fantastic opportunity, probably only an hour and a half, well, it's only an hour from Perth, south, just near North Dandalup, coming up, about 750 acres. What's so special about this property, John?
Well, to be able to boast the fact that the property for 30 years has never had any pesticides or herbicides used on that property, and hence its biodegradable conditioning that we talk about, or biodynamics, isn't it the word?
Well, it's almost biodegradable because the soil has been broken down by the worms and it's alive. You know, it's really special.
Yes, we're not happy with the fact that what we've taken out of the soils throughout Western Australia through our grain growing, but this is a grazing property. It's got a lot of quality because it's undulating. It's just sitting under the Darling Range hill line, which gives it a very favoured position in the North Dandalup area. It's on a cul-de-sac, so it's a street with only those people living within that vicinity use. But the uniqueness, again, even at the risk of repetition, to say there is very few of this size. You'll find 200 hectares, but you will not find properties that are this size and get away with the same information that we're talking about. It's hard to find, especially when today's big demand is in the area of health.
Well, that's exactly right. You know, to have about 700 odd acres farmed for the last 30 years, certified biodynamic organic property is just fantastic. Well, that probably wraps us up, John. Look, thank you very much for the opportunity to collaborate with you on these listings. If there's any information that anyone needs, they could either give John Garland Senior a call or myself. Love to be able to show you these fantastic opportunities.
Well, it's been great to talk about something very special, and it's a privilege for us to be given the trust of the owners to sell the property to the right person.